All right, let's go back to the phone lines here, see if we can get our connection unmuted. You're on the air, Speed Limit. Go.
Russ, what's going on?
Hey.
I was just
Sorry about that.
accidentally dialed you.
Yeah.
I was going to give you an update, though, on the Angela Brown case. We just had that hearing in Minnesota this afternoon.
Oh, folks, yeah.
This morning,
Angela Brown case, the woman who busted for giving her kid CBD-oil, even though Minnesota has passed a CBD-oil law. So it's a terrible case. So
Minnesota actually has a full plant law, but it's an extract only. They can use THC and CBD combinations, but they cannot use the actual flower. They have to use extract. And, we had the hearing today. We filed some motions to have the court dismiss it. I mean, one of our main arguments, not a main argument, but a side argument, was we asked them to dismiss it in the interest of justice, considering that Minnesota has a medical law that the child, that this 15-year-old will probably qualify for next summer. We also introduced Dr. Denny's declaration from the case down in California and some other stuff, basically talking about the fact that cannabis being a Schedule I drug is a science fiction, and that the law is rapidly changing on that, and that that's something that the judge should take in consideration. But the main argument was that there's really not probable cause for the child endangerment charges. I've spent a couple weeks briefing this issue, and really they have to have some sort of underlying controlled substance offense, like a first degree, second degree, third degree, fourth degree, generally involving a sale. There's no charge that she was violating the controlled substance laws, and generally these cases have that underlying charge that's a predicate of the child endangerment charge.
And real quick, is that the situation where it's child endangerment because of the inherent danger of the marijuana trade, the illegal marijuana trade brings danger into it?
That's correct. Most of those cases come from a parent that say they're in a meth lab, or they're cooking meth in the bathroom and the kids are in the back room playing Chutes and Ladders, or mom goes on to buy some cocaine downtown and has the kid the baby seat in the back. They generally involve cases, yes, where there's some sort of sale going on, and we've kind of pinpointed the prosecutor to get them to understand that a sale in Minnesota, even though the definition says to give, to barter, to sell, to sell, it can include give away, but there's case law that says when people jointly possess a controlled substance and they give it to one another, that's not a sale. Our argument was this mom jointly possessed this cannabis oil for her son. She wasn't even using it herself. It was strictly for her son. This is a joint possessory interest. This is not a sale under the case law, both federally and with Minnesota case. So we believe we presented some really strong arguments for them to dismiss the charges on probable cause alone. And fortunately, there was a big media presence there today. There was a lot of activists who showed up out in the middle of nowhere in western Minnesota. And so it's getting some good coverage, but I wanted to get the main media forum for cannabis issues, which is yourself, an update.
Oh, thank you so much. We appreciate that, Speed Limit, and we're looking for everyone to support this Angela Brown case as best they can, because really, I mean, it's just bad timing. I mean, she didn't do anything illegal once the law is passed, but it's a matter of she did it before the law was passed, and there's no justice in that, man. If the people of Minnesota decided that this kid should be qualified to use medical cannabis, I would think that would be enough. But I know how the law is, and well, the law is still the law. We got to enforce it, and I hope the judge sees it the other way.
Well, and one of our basic arguments was, if they had actually charged her with a possession of a small amount of marijuana, then that's something she's probably technically guilty of. But we said, hey, when you start charging her with child endangerment, and one of these has to involve some sort of serious controlled substance violation, and that isn't here, that maybe the government, should actually think about charging her properly, with a citation and a ticket for possessing the small amount of cannabis oil. Yeah. So that's kind of what was the basic, the essence of our argument.
And Minnesota's a decrim state, right?
Yeah, 42 grams. It has one of the higher possession limits for decrim. So it's an ounce and a half in Minnesota. So anything over 43, and this was, of course, a small, tiny vial, which was, I don't even know how many grams it would actually test. I mean, we're talking milliliters, So,
yeah. and so, child endangerment, from their point of view, the only thing they're saying endangered the child was that this cannabis oil existed and was given to the kid, right? They're not showing that the kid was harmed by taking the cannabis oil, right?
Right, and the prosecutor's taking advantage of a case that involved a mother who drove her infant to a cocaine deal. And, in that case, the defendant argued, well, there was no actual harm, and the courts ruled, well, under this child endangerment statute, you don't have to show any harm, any actual harm. You've just put them in this circumstance where there's drugs being dealt that, could potentially be dangerous. And our argument is simply, this is not that case. This is not, this doesn't resemble any of the child endangerment cases that are normally charged under that statute.
Yeah. Once upon a time, a woman drove her kid to a crack deal, so you can't give your kid medical extracts of weed? Come on now. that's absurd.
Right, and especially medical grade cannabis. So that's the sad part. And the sadder part is that this comes about when the child actually shows improvement, is actually doing well, and they ask him, hey, why is he doing so well? And this occurred when it was being debated at the Minnesota legislature, so the mom kind of thought she was providing some education here, and like, hey, we've given him this cannabis oil and it's working. And that's kind of what led us down this road. And, of course, social services didn't do anything. And the second charge in the complaint alleges that through mom's acts or omissions, she required a social service intervention to a CHIPS petition or a juvenile delinquency petition. And none of those happened either. So we just don't feel there's any basis for these particular charges.
So this was all just about her standing up politically for this cause.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, I mean, essentially, because that's when she talked about it, when it was kind of becoming an issue.
Not that they're targeting her necessarily, but that had she kept her mouth shut politically, she wouldn't be where she's at right now.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Yeah,
that's the sad part.
Not that they're going out of their way, oh, she said something, let's tear her down, but it's more like it set everything into motion. Once it's mentioned, these workers, these child workers have no choice but to report things in a lot of cases.
Right, and then the sad thing is they should have let them do their investigation, and when they decided not to proceed, then nobody should have decided to proceed. And the scary thing is it's cases like this where other parents now are going to be reluctant to try to help their children, and in some cases parents are going to sit and watch their kids have, all sorts of issues. If they're epileptic, have a bunch of seizures each day, and have to watch that and be too scared to go out and try to get some help for their kids. And that's a real sad statement about where we're at, and the fact that depending on where you live, you may or may not be able to effectively treat your children.
Yeah, that's just a tragedy. And we thank attorneys like you that are standing up for these people and fighting for justice when it's sometimes hard to come by. We really appreciate it. Thanks for giving us the update.
Just can't wait to get back to Oregon, man. We'll call you in a couple weeks here and give you an update. Hopefully we'll get a positive ruling from the judge.
Yeah. Let's hope that happens sooner rather than later. Can't wait to see you here in Oregon again, too.
Absolutely. Take care, Russ.
All right. Take it easy. Thanks for the call. That's what I love about doing our show here is that, we are the clearinghouse, the live clearinghouse for this marijuana activism happening in real time. If you know activists, groups out there that are doing protests, petitions, seminars, whatever it might be, make sure you let us know here at 420 Radio. Even if we can't get out there and cover it ourselves, maybe you can cover it for us. Maybe you can take a tape recorder. What is this, 1980? Maybe you can take a digital recorder down there and get us some audio from these things. That is one of my goals for 2015 with 420 Radio and the Russ Belville Show, is to have even more input, even more crowdsourcing, even more of these live events, these town hall meetings, these legislative reports, anything we can get content-wise to help show what's going on in your neck of the woods, if I could borrow from Willard Scott for a second. We can find out what's going on in your neck of the woods with regard to marijuana legalization and share that with the rest of the country and the rest of the world. Because the more they hear that someone like you is doing it in Minnesota or in Kentucky or in Vermont or Maine or Florida or wherever you're living, the more someone hears that someone like you is doing something, the more empowered they are to do something themselves. My God, if those people in Minnesota can do it, we can do it. If those people in Dallas-Fort Worth can form a great normal chapter, we can do it. If someone like Fran Janik in Vermont can go testify at the legislature, we can do it. And that's how all of us together here, as this community that we've built over the past couple years at 420 Radio, can make this grow. And we can spread this word and become a source of information and support for the activist community out there. That's been my goal from day one, is that this is marijuana activism radio. There's a lot of places you can tune into if you just want to smoke pot, if you just want to see the latest glass or discuss the coolest dabs. Plenty of outlets for that. But if you're serious about marijuana activism, changing the laws and reforming the culture, this is the place to be. The Russ Belville Show, every weekday, 3 p.m. Pacific Time, right here on 420radio.org. Replays coming up at 6 p.m., or you can catch them on the overnight, 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. Pacific Time. That's all the time we got for today. Thanks for joining us. Gordon Green's Music Planet is next. For everyone here at 420radio.org, I'm Radical Russ. Until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you